Another episode of Monique and Sydney's Open Relationship. Hey, Daddy.
Hey, Mama.
So, okay, my loves. Today's topic is, and I'm going to say it really slow so that you can understand what we're asking. Are you with your mate because you don't want to be alone? That's what we're talking about today. 404-832-2963. Are you with your mate right now because you simply don't want to be alone? Go on, Daddy. Talk to it.
What that means is, how did we get to this point? How did we get to the conversation? And it's because a mutual individual that we happen to know, we surmise that the reason why she's with the individual that she's with is because they didn't want to be alone. And we thought that she was not unique in that situation based upon what we observed. And we thought, hey, that would be interesting to have a conversation about.
Are you with your mate because you don't want to be alone? Now, when we first said it, Robin bust out laughing and she said, who's going to admit to that? Like, who's going to admit to, I'm with you only because I don't want to be alone? Not so much that we have chemistry, not so much that I really like you. I'm just fucking sick of going out to all girls night, Monday through Sunday. So I saw you. You look like you look like something. Okay? You look like something. So we can go ahead and do it because I just don't want to be by myself.
There it is.
I've had a few of those.
Okay.
So it's not that we're judging. We're simply asking because there is a young lady, well, she ain't no young lady, this bitch is old now. There's an older woman that we know that she oftentimes didn't have anyone. So whenever she got someone, it became a big production. Am I saying that fairly? It became this huge production where everybody had to know that she had someone.
Right.
Right? And when they came around, it almost turned into baby porn. That's how much she wanted everybody to know that she was with someone, and this was at a child's party. Right? And all the other children looking like, is this part of the festivities? So, are you with someone because you simply don't want to be alone, and do we choose not wisely because we don't want to be alone?
And you know, everyone can relate to, or a lot of people can relate to the, on the lower scale, someone may have asked you out that ordinarily you may not have considered. They gave you the number and nothing was happening that night and you were like, okay, let me see. Or, you know, this individual was somebody who you're not really trying to kick it with, but it was nothing to do that night. You kicked it with them. You had a good time, not good time, whatever the time. But then it is taken to another level when you decide to make them your mate.
Come on.
And you decide that because I don't have anyone, I want someone. And it doesn't matter who they are. It's kind of like, you know, in this situation where individuals would say, I know you want a man, and now you have one, but look at the man that you have.
Sisters and brothers, I'm just going to say this to you.
And a woman.
Sisters and no brothers. Just on another side note, you always know a step up or a step down when you get into another relationship. You know if you stepped up or if you stepped down. Now, if the last nigga you messed with had all his teeth.
All of them.
And then the new nigga you messing with, he got about 4 good teeth and 2 of them is bad.
And 1 is yellow.
Okay, then you should have to answer yourself, maybe I took a step down.
Maybe I took a step down.
If the nigga that you used to mess with, when you see them, they were clean. Just look like they bathed.
Just look like they bathed.
But the new nigga you with, not only do it look like he don't bathe, he kind of smell like it from time to time. And he might take a nap just out of nowhere. Now, some of us in the street know that as a junkie nod, but we're going to call it a nap.
Right.
That's how you'll question yourself.
A nap versus a nod.
Did I step up or did I step down? And did I step down simply because I didn't want to be by myself?
Feel free to give us a call, 404-832-2963. Share your story and glory.
Because we all have one. And again, this is not judgment. Because if y'all went back in my yesterday's, There could be some sightings, some sightings, bitch. Did I say sightings? Some sightings that someone could say, Monique, what was happening?
Let me ask you.
Ask me, Daddy.
What was happening?
I didn't want to be by myself. That's what was happening. I did not want to be by myself. 90% of the relationships I've ever been in with a man was simply because I didn't want to be by myself. When Calvin and I got together, my first marriage, there was no firecrackers, no fire. Well, there was fireworks when we had our Friday night fights. But other than that, there was like no spark or no, this is really going to work out. It was simply because I needed help with my rent. And I couldn't pay that rent all by myself. So now you like me? I like you a little bit. Let's move in and let's split this rent. We can make it work. But not because there was no whole lot of love. We're talking about it, y'all. Are you with your mate because you don't want to be alone? Let's go to the lines. Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this?
They were shy.
But that's why they by themselves.
Uh-oh.
That's why they by themselves, because they, goddamn it, they play on the phone.
They play on the phone.
But you have to ask yourself, and it's one of those kind of conversations that is hard to have out loud. Because you then have to say and admit the truth to it.
And it's not just that you're with someone because you don't want to be by yourself, because initially that may have been the reason why you got together, and then you found out that it may have been more than what you would have expected it to be. But you're in a relationship with someone that you have no chemistry with, that was initiated because you didn't have anyone. And now you have someone, but it's still that level of emptiness, like you have no one. Why are you still there?
You know, Daddy, okay, y'all, so my first marriage, right? When I called Sid and I said, yo, I'm getting married. He was like, bitch, for real? Like, are you sure? I'm like, why aren't you cheering this on? And he was like, yo, you don't know this cat. My second marriage, I called Sid. I said, yo, I'm getting married. He was like, bitch, for real? Because y'all seem to argue a lot. You sure you want to do this?
A lot.
A lot. So I think that...
And she threw him a surprise wedding.
Okay, tell it. Go on and tell it.
A surprise wedding. Niggas is hiding behind the door, waiting for folks to come in. I'm right there, we hiding. Surprise. Now, I heard of surprise parties. And at that time, because I'm half crazy and I'm used to the Black Lucille Ball, which is Monique. Yeah, she is. She's the black. She Babaloo. She want to come down to the club dressed up, and Ricky be like, "No, stay your ass home because you gonna come down here kicking up shit." When she told me about it, it seemed to make all the sense in the world. I'ma surprise and propose to him at the same time, and we gonna get married at that goddamn time. Now I've seen people surprise propose. Yeah. They be in the stadium and shit. But then it's like, yes, okay, well, we're going to do that shit right now.
Yes.
Just to make sure that it's going down.
And you know why I did that, Daddy?
Tell me.
Because I like the excitement of a wedding. Not so much that I gave a fuck about us getting married. I like the excitement of a wedding. And I'm getting ready to drop a bomb right now. Is everybody ready for this bomb dropping?
Get it.
Okay, Mark, I'm getting ready to drop the bomb right now on Monique and Sydney's open relationship. It wasn't a surprise. Okay, now as Robin and Sydney both look at me like, bitch, what? It wasn't a surprise. Let me tell you why. Because we got into a huge argument that morning, right? And it was so ugly that I thought that he would not be there, right, for the surprise to go down. So I had to let him know, listen, at such and such a time, Mr. Lewis is coming over here, and so he knew. He could have said no. Okay.
So all of this time,
all of it, baby,
you had Robin and I,
and all the niggas that was there. So don't think y'all was just special.
All the niggas that was there, under the impression that it was a surprise, because he looked as if he was surprised. And now I realize, well, we were there, Robin.
Yes.
So now I realize the surprise was that he you and him were really going to go through with this shit. That's the surprise.
Yeah. And because y'all really believed he was surprised, right?
Yeah.
That's why, you know what, Mark, if you listening and anybody know Mark, tell him that's why I believe he's going to be a hell of an actor in Hollywood. Somebody give him a chance because, goddamn it, baby, he pulled that shit off.
Y'all pulled that shit off, but you got your Academy Award.
I know.
Right.
So the reason we're having this conversation because, again, not in judgment. I've been there. You know, I've been with people that was for the moment. I've been with people because of what it was going to look like. But most of my relationships weren't because I was head over heels for this guy. Nor do I think he was head over heels for me. Mm-hmm. I think I was feeling something just as he was feeling something for me. And neither one of us at the time were courageous enough to say, I'm not really feeling you. Mm-hmm. I'm just feeling the situation, if that makes sense. So are you with your mate? Because you simply don't want to be alone. And give yourself a test to ask yourself. Ask yourself, how do I take care of my mate? And how does my mate take care of me? How often do I cook a home-cooked meal?
What is your chemistry like? Not just from a sexual standpoint, but what is it that, what is your relationship like when you don't say a word? When you're just sitting next to each other and you are sharing that energy, because that says a lot too.
You know, I want to address this baby that just came in the room because I think that's something that a lot of people may be faced with. I don't know if it's a man or woman, but they said, I am in a relationship like that because he gave me herpes. And now I feel like I can't leave. Mm-hmm. Are you in that relationship because y'all really love each other? Or were you in a relationship that y'all didn't really love each other and you got herpes and now you feel like I'm trapped? Because don't let herpes stop you from finding real love. Mm-hmm. And it's just you being honest with the partner that you're with to say, listen, before we go any further, I need you to know this is what's happening with me. And if you want to go further, fine, but I don't want to trick you into nothing. Or shit, you got herpes, I got herpes, well then fuck it.
Right.
We both, you find you a herpes anonymous meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
And there it is.
Ain't nobody judging no goddamn body.
And there it is. But don't let that be the end all to your life because, you know, it's easier said than done. But why be in a situation where you're unhappy with somebody with an STD when you could be by yourself with that same STD and then find somebody else who that doesn't matter because you're taking the proper precautions to protect yourself from a sexual standpoint, but the relationship is, I guess, the energy beyond that is more of what connects you than the fact that you have an STD. Mm-hmm.
We're talking about it, babies. Are you with your mate because you simply don't want to be alone? 404-832-2963. And here's a question I have. Do you know someone that is in a relationship and you know that that relationship ain't real? And are you courageous enough to say to your friend, to your girl or your boy, why are you with this person? Because every time I'm around y'all, it don't seem like it's good. You've never had anything nice to say about this person. Why are you there? And you'll hear some people say financially, convenience. You'll have people that'll get divorced, but still stay together because it's financially convenient. It is, I don't want the children to see us not being together. But are you finding your real happiness in that type of situation? We're talking about it, baby. 404-832-2963. Are you with your mate because you simply don't want to be alone?
And you've been a certain religion all your life. Then all of a sudden you change to another religion. And then now that religion that you've changed to, the person that had you change to that religion, you're now having to tell them that we need to go.
To be religious.
To be religious. And the individuals that are around you and that have known you all your life, there are certain things that you can't do because of this individual and their background, all because you don't want to be by yourself. And you ask yourself, is that worth it?
And is that you? Is that you right now that's listening that's saying, all because I don't want to be by myself, I'm willing to sacrifice everything just to be able to say, I have a man or I have a woman. Let's go to the line, y'all. We're talking about it. Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this?
My name is Raynisha.
Hey, Raynisha.
Hi, Miss Monique.
How you doing, Mama?
I'm great. This is the first time I was able to actually text you guys this morning on Periscope, so I tried calling in to answer that question.
Talk to us.
So I'm married. Been married 4 years now. Before I got married, I was pregnant. So ultimately, for me, in the beginning, I was like, yo, really like him. I want to be with him for the rest of my life, and I also didn't want to have a whole lot of baby daddies, you know. He told me though in the beginning of us ever dating that I was going to be his wife. I'm talking to Monique. He told me in the beginning, no, you're gonna be my wife, and I told him you're crazy. And at the time, I was a Christian. We both were, actually. And as we just decided to step out and do it, things were rocky. In the beginning, we both questioned whether or not we were meant to be together. And 5 years later, together, 4 years later, married, things have actually been amazing. Like, I look at people that I know, and I see that they're only in relationships because it's convenient or maybe it's an opportunity for them, not like you guys are saying, not to have to be alone. And for me, I didn't want to put myself in that situation because I actually like being by myself. So I know that I'm not with him because it's convenient. I'm with him because I love him, and how's it going? And we actually really enjoy each other's company. Like, he's my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There you go. We appreciate that.
That's what it is for us. We doing this because we like doing life together. Not because we have to be together because we have kids. Truth be told, we could separate and still be the best of friends to make sure that our kids have the best life ever. But we know that we work better as a team. Like, he honestly reminds me a lot of kids. After watching you guys, looking at how much he dropped so many wonderful nuggets, and he's just quiet, but when he speaks, it's power. That is my husband.
You better say that.
We appreciate that.
We got married at 22 and 23.
That'll give you a lot of life together, baby.
Yes, it does. And so I really appreciate, I'll try not to talk a long time. I really appreciate you guys for doing your podcast and your Periscope and all of it, because it really, I watch and listen and I'm like, yo, this is motivation. You guys, you guys give us so much motivation. We sit and we listen to your podcast and we talk it out. So thank you.
Thank you, my baby.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You know, I love those calls because you have people saying, we working through it.
Mm-hmm.
We working it out. And in the process, we fell in love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are the ones that you say, keep pushing, keep motivating one another. And as she was talking, I was sitting here and I was thinking about my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And before we go into that, we're going to take this call. I just want to, hello, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this?
Hey, October.
Hello. This topic is kind of really fascinating. I'm actually about to do research, but I spent years, just, okay, well, the kids need to be here. Oh, well, everybody else thought I should be here. Well, if you do say, you're the provider, love isn't that important. Gave myself every excuse under the stars just to stay because everybody else thought it was best. Fell in love while I was married and knew I had to shout, knew that love was important, knew that I was important enough to happen, and I had to leave.
You know what? For some reason, we're unable to make out exactly what you were saying. We were hoping you were getting clear. Were you going to translate for us, Robin? Can you hear us?
Hello?
Okay, that sounds that's a lot better.
Oh, okay. I was basically saying that I'm about to get remarried, and the remarried came after being married for so long, being unhappy, Staying in it for the children. I thought my children's happiness was way more important than mine. I thought being able to pay the bills was way more important than, a sexual connection. Like, there was absolutely nothing there, but because I didn't enter it for love, I entered it for my children. I thought that's what I deserved. Found my true love while I was still married, and that's when I realized how important love was for my survival. That I needed someone to need me, to love me, so that I could love me and need me, and it wasn't a codependent thing. It was him showing that there is a thing called love out there, and I deserved it.
There you go.
Yes, indeed, baby. Thank you so much, sis.
Thank you.
Did you hear what she said? There was love out there, and I deserved it. And one thing that I would say when people say I stayed together for the kids, in my humble opinion, when you stay together for the kids but there's no happiness in the home, that's more detrimental to the kids. Because now you have kids that grow up into adults and their understanding of happiness stems from what they saw. So when I say before that call came in, I thought about my parents. And my parents were married for over 50 years. And I know these two people didn't really dig each other. I know these two people weren't really in love with each other. I know that these two people really didn't share a chemistry. And that's what I grew up knowing. So when I think about the relationships I got into, well, I grew up knowing you ain't really got to love. You ain't really got to have this dynamic friendship. This is just what we signed up for, so let's go through with it. So for Calvin and for Mark, I was never a good wife because I didn't know how to be one. I didn't know how to be a friend. I didn't know how to be those things because I gave you what I knew. So when I hear sisters that call in or either in a room and they're saying either I'm in a relationship because of a disease, or I'm in a relationship because I wanted to make the kids happy, or I'm in a relationship because I didn't have the money, don't get to your end being regretful.
And also the relationships that you see in your home, it's not just what you see, but what you don't see that you can learn from as well. Because I came from a home where I didn't see two parents that were in love with one another. I saw a man that was very domineering. My mother was very passive. And when she got married as a woman, it was as if there were a lot of life experiences that she didn't have. So we forget that our parents were young at one time too. And we forget all about what they, we don't just forget, but we don't acknowledge what they may not have known to be in a position to give us. And sometimes we can take that and be resentful for what it was that they did not give us, but not realize that they didn't have it or didn't know it to give. But it boils down to we as individuals and our ability to observe our surroundings, so that for all of the love that you did not get is the love that you understand you should be able to give when you finally have a mate, when you finally have children, to be in a situation where in my whole lifetime, my father had never hugged me. My father has never ever said, "I love you." And that was the greatest gift I could have ever received, unbeknownst to me, because it's the reason why there's not a day that goes by that I don't say to Michael, David, and Jonathan, "I love you." And we hug each other every morning. And it's not a time that when you and I never saw my mom and dad kiss one another when they came in or when they leave, but it's the reason why we do that, because in my mind, all of what I did not see transpire in terms of relationships between my grandmother and my grandfather, my mother and my father, was all of what I knew that I needed to have if I was going to marry someone, which for a very long time, ladies and gentlemen, Monique would say, if we're not married by the time we're 40, we're going to marry one another. And I used to say, "Bitch, I will kill you."
Yeah, that's what he said.
I would say, "Bitch, I will kill you because I seen how you do. I seen how you do." And ended up marrying my best friend. It's like, so by me getting the opportunity to see what it is that I would like to have, it's the reason why I realized that there's a level of patience that had to be exhibited because I didn't see patience from my father. He didn't know how to be patient towards people, not because he was a bad guy or a terrible person, but when does someone teach you that? It's something that you have to internalize, you have to observe and be willing to execute on your own accord. And because of the things that I did not receive, it was the reason why I felt compelled that I had to give them.
We're talking about it, y'all. Are you with your mate because you simply don't want to be alone? We're going to the lines. Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this?
This is Queen Cookie Baby.
Hey, Mama.
You know I just like to call in and hear your voices. Me and my husband are right now watching your podcast, and we are enjoying the hell out of it like we always do.
We appreciate it. Talk
Yes,
to
ma'am.
us. Tell us something good.
Yes, but you know, one of the things that me and my husband, you know, it was rocky when we first started out. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, you know, we heard bombs jumping off and flowers falling out the sky and everything. It was rocky. We started on a broken foundation. But as the years went by, and as we stayed committed and communicated, things started to get better and the miracles started to appear. And one thing that I like to tell young people before they get married and even in their early stages of marriage is always remember that marriage circle. I think I've shared that with you, Monique.
Yes, ma'am.
No one goes in that circle but your husband and your wife. Not even your children, not your best friend, not your mama and them, just your husband. And my husband, or your wife, and my husband just told me something recently that went like this. I can't give my best when love isn't in it.
That's real. That's real.
That's why you didn't.
What'd you say, baby?
That's why you done been with Mr. Dennis forever.
Forever 37 and a half plus years. And as my husband would say, the Lord willing and the creek don't rise, we're going to do another 37 and a half plus years.
That's what's up. And just to speak in reference to what I've witnessed from afar through conversations with Monique and yourself and Mr. Dennis, just sharing with the audience, would you have to agree that the key to your relationship is that you two have never been closed off to better understanding one another?
Right. You are right with that, Sydney, because even in the beginning and even after the beginning, we saw tools, T-O-O-L-S, to help us through this because it wasn't easy. There was a time my husband was sitting in the driveway and didn't want to come in because my evil ass. Monique, me and you are like, you got no read, I got menopause.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyway, it had gotten to that. I mean, I didn't respect my husband because I didn't know how to be a wife. Like you, Monique, like you, Sydney. Nobody taught us how to do this. We didn't have a blueprint. We just took it as it came. And that's what it was. And my husband is right here. Let me get him say something. He's trying to say something.
You guys are good. You know what? You guys are teaching me. But as far as my beautiful bride is concerned, Mr. and Mrs. Hicks, I love her spanking draws.
Talk about it.
That's right.
I love you guys and keep them coming, okay?
We
Love you,
y'all
honey.
back.
You know what was interesting? And that's why I enjoy having conversations with her because they're so honest and they're so real and they're so, like, right there in your face. And when she says, when we first got together, it wasn't the fireworks. It wasn't when Sydney and I first got together, I know for me, I loved him because it was my best friend and it was my brother. And this has been someone I've been on since I was 14, but I didn't know how to be in love yet. Like I didn't know what that meant. And I knew that this was my boy. Like this was the cat. When I'm fucking around, I'm calling you up to tell you I'm fucking around. I'm mad with the world. I need to call you up. This was and still is my best friend. So when we first got together, it didn't cross over for me. It was still, this is my brother. This is my best friend. This is...
What here's what's funny, that people are under the impression, or you're under the impression, that immediately when you get together, that you're going to be in love. It's kind of like when you first get your driver's license, you really don't know how to drive well, but you know how to drive just well enough to pass the test.
Mm-hmm.
And what it was, that we were able to pass the test of what we needed in one another, and the rest was soon to follow, because you know not all the challenges that you're going to have down the road, but you feel like, based upon you kicking the tires, you checking the oil, there are no leaks, and you say, you know what, this person has all of the qualities that I would need in a woman. And you thought I would assume that I had the qualities that you would need in a man, with more surprises to come. Because who you thought I was, see, Monique actually thought to some degree that I was an incredible pushover, because I've always been relatively easygoing, but wasn't used to a person who is not going to fight you or be loud and yell with you in order to make a point. It's kind of like jujitsu, leverage. When you use someone else's logic and reason against them, or really for the benefit of the relationship, and you pose a question, because to argue with Monique as a man, I already knew going in, there was no way in the world that I, Sidney Eugene Hicks, could possibly win. But if I could reason and use some logic and take her out of the world of emotion, she'd realize that we're on the same team, and what we're trying to do is accomplish this thing together and win. It's not, I'm trying to one-up you or be better than you. We're together and should be together because we're looking to make each other better. So the fact that I remember we were being intimate, and Monique looked at me and said, "Are you making love to me?"
Oh, so you just gonna put that out there?
Yes.
Fuck it, go on, tell it.
"Are you making love to me?"
Ah.
And I looked at her and I said, and I thought to myself, how innocent is that? And I said, "No, I'm fucking the shit out you." No, I'm sorry. That's not what I said.
Yeah,
My
you
bad.
did.
No,
Yeah, you did.
but